जागने वाले किसी बांग दरा से दिल हो. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So I will talk about these Islamabad talks, analyze it. So the few that listen, bear with me, please. Now, before these talks started, I actually left out a message and sort of knew what was gonna happen as well, because we follow these things. We've been following these things for years, more than a decade. And but there is a thing that you shouldn't reveal a lot of things while these things happen. There is that narrative as well, so that's why I just left out a little note. But now I would like to analyze it in a little more detail, not the complete details, but a little bit more details. And I was just watching that while these talks were about to happen, Bill Clinton woke up to these talks, of all people. Bill Clinton woke up. He is someone who has been a great diplomat from the American side, right? You should know that. He woke up. And I was like, why did he wake up to these talks, right? It's because these people understand what the timing of diplomacy and how important these can be at specific times, right? Because USA and Iran war was not a small thing, it was a big war, right? Now when sort of this 2-week ceasefire phase commenced, those times are good times for diplomacy, and if they work, they are like good. If they don't work, then so Bill Clinton, these people know about this. And by the way, I'll mention it later, but I'll mention it. I was just mentioning that I also remember the Clinton Arafat times, right? And Bill Clinton is someone who knows diplomacy very well. He's intelligent. He knows diplomacy very well. And he also was doing diplomacy when the Palestine-Israel conflict was also at its pinnacle. Don't forget that. Yasser Arafat. Now I was watching his analysis, and he made a very strong analysis on this in great detail. On the 10th of April, he said that whenever these diplomacies are going, the main thing to notice is the negotiating team. And he said that from this negotiating team, the American side, some of the major players were absent, like the foreign minister, the secretary of state, Marco Rubio. Why was he absent? I'll get into that. Araghchi wasn't absent, right? Iranian foreign minister wasn't. Iran had a full-fledged team, whereas USA just had J.D. Vance, and the main players was J.D. Vance, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff. Marco Rubio absent. Now, why was he absent? I'll get into that. He didn't tell. I know. Marco Rubio was absent. He's the most important person for the official setting. He should have been there. He was absent. Marco Rubio was absent. Keep that in mind. And he mentioned this as well. He mentioned it as well. So in all these diplomatic talks, the delegation, which people are coming, that is very important, right? To know about the intensity or importance of these talks. So America just came with a small team, and my take was that America actually just wanted to open the Strait of Hormuz, and also they wanted to show that, hey, we are also doing diplomacy, right? We are doing diplomacy, right, with Iran. We are not like not doing diplomacy, even though the thing is that they are not doing diplomacy, but they just want to show right now. And anyways, Okay, so Bill Clinton made a very great, analysis, very, strong analysis on this. But from the American side, I have been noticing even the experts have been silent even on this talk. Don't. This is the time that to wake up. Sometimes there are these crucial times to wake up, and I was watching it like every hour. So Bill Clinton made a great analysis. Remember that. He made a great analysis, but on the side of American side, I would improve his analysis. I don't know if this will reach him or maybe won't reach him, but I would say that he left out the elephant in the room, or should I say the elephants in the room. And the elephants in the room were Israel and Palestine. We have been watching these things for years, right? So we don't sway away from the main elements. And for the past 2 days, I was like watching every hour. I was watching Netanyahu every hour. Before even the talk started, this is a very important thing to mention for the few people who listen to us. Before the talk started, Iran said Lebanon was part of ceasefire. Okay? Pakistan said Lebanon was part of ceasefire. Netanyahu actually made a video, right? It's on YouTube channel, mentioning that no, Lebanon is not part of ceasefire. And I mentioned it even before that. I mentioned it before that. Netanyahu will never accept it. J.D. Vance, before the meeting started, said that Lebanon was not part of ceasefire. Okay? And Trump actually said just a day back, he said that on a call to Netanyahu, he called Netanyahu that if you are not gonna initiate peace talks with Lebanon, then I am going to unilaterally declare Israel and Hezbollah or Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. That's what he said. He threatened Netanyahu to, get peace talks with Lebanon. Otherwise, he will declare unilaterally a ceasefire. It means Lebanon ceasefire was part of the agreement. Basically, he's saying that Lebanon was part of ceasefire. That's why he's threatening Netanyahu. So he thought that if he could have gotten, this is my take, that if probably a Lebanon ceasefire could have been achieved, it could have been linked, Iran, Lebanon, the entire ceasefire of Iran and its allies, it could have been linked to the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. He was thinking it across these lines. That's my take on it. And what Netanyahu did was, I knew Netanyahu was never going to agree to this. But Netanyahu, he called the Lebanon administration, whatever people he called them, and he said that peace is possible if Hezbollah disarms. Which we know is like an impossible scenario. Hezbollah will never disarm when Israel is like state terrorism on steroids, what I say. So how will Hezbollah disarm? Hezbollah said no, and he did it in such a short time, coming up of an impossible sort of a peace scenario. And Hezbollah said no, obviously, and he attacked Lebanon during these times. I was watching Netanyahu like a hawk for each hour, by the way, almost each hour. These talks as well. These things are connected. Now, Netanyahu didn't agree to it, the Lebanon ceasefire. Trump was pressurizing him, and he, just brushed it off and said, no, we'll keep attacking Lebanon, because he's also trying to preserve power. We know that Netanyahu is trying to preserve his seat. Yeah, Netanyahu is trying to preserve his seat, so he's going at all lengths, to do this process of continuation of wars. Okay, now this is the context as well. The Lebanon was very important, right, to mention here. Lebanon ceasefire may be somewhat connected to the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, okay, because now it has been announced that no results came out of these talks. Now, Trump was pressurizing Netanyahu for a Lebanon ceasefire, not JD Vance. Now I'll come to the other person, Marco Rubio. I am the only one, by the way, and Bill Clinton mentioned him. Don't forget that he was a very important player in these talks. Why wasn't he there? Why wasn't he there? By the way, the whole world should have asked this question. By the way, why wasn't Rubio there? All these things have some sort of an official tone or responsibilities. So the world could have asked this question. The major media players would have asked this question, and I'll ask this question: why wasn't Rubio there? Bill Clinton asked this. Okay, Clinton asked this. A very strong diplomat of the American side, but I would say that my analysis improves his analysis when I say that he left the elephants in the room, Israel and Palestine, and that is why the talks, weren't successful. He actually mentioned that there are 3 possibilities, and one of them was this. Okay, so I'll keep it honest. I took a different line. I was like, probably Pakistan should not arrange them in Pakistan. And it has a separate multi-fold analysis to it, which I won't get into because politics have these things. Okay, so Marco Rubio, I was observing Marco Rubio, and I was just watching his Twitter account, and his narrative on, nothing on these talks. Anything he mentioned on these talks, nothing. He's like silent. And as I was scrolling down, I just observed that these all speeches of just attacking Iran and go at them, destroy their factories, this type of narrative, right? So he didn't sway away from this narrative, Marco Rubio, and there was a clash among the American administration. Okay, now why was this a clash? Just watch what Netanyahu is doing. There are these Israel firsters in the American administration, like Marco Rubio. That take the exact same line as Netanyahu. Mike Huckabee, Pete Hegseth. Okay, so there was a clash on this. There are these Israel firsters. We recognized it even before the talk started. Okay, we recognize it. We see these things very closely. So these Israeli firsters take the Israeli line, and that's why we sort of knew that these talks may not be successful on Lebanon. And okay, now this is my take on it. Just finally I'll mention, this they were saying that now America changed from, regime change to, there shouldn't be any nuclear weapons. I mean, that's like a moot point in my opinion. Basically the mindset is, some sort of mindset is, if we're gonna prolong a war, then we're gonna take out some information on these nuclear capabilities. But I just think that Netanyahu is just trying to preserve his seat. And very important point I want to mention. Lastly, I must mention this. Those who bear with me till the end, a lot of people ignore us. Maybe maybe we're just too young for this, but I'll probably apply a filter for this, changing it into gray hair or something. Yeah, but last point is very important point. Very important, probably the most important point. The entire world is sort of not taking Donald Trump too seriously, and this is the time when I would say no. I'm taking him very seriously. I'm taking Donald Trump very seriously. As people like Alex Jones, even Tucker Carlson, etc., I would take a different line at this point, because the thing about Trump is that he is also a very shrewd businessman and a politician. And with politics, one should know that dates are very important. And I would mention this, that while Trump is playing along because there are a lot of these Israeli firsters, right? You should know this context. You should know this context. It's a very strong Israeli lobby that is trying to control him, and he is trying to probably do his best to somehow make sense of the situation. He originally did not believe in, you know, a war with Iran and these type of things. This was like forced upon him. Now he sort this is my take, he sort of knew that Iran war was never going to be successful, but he went along just to teach people like Pete Hegseth and the Israeli firsters as well a lesson. This is my take. Now the most important thing that I'm watching right now is the Israeli elections are coming this year in October, November 2026. Okay, very near, like months away. And people like Donald Trump, they are very well aware about these dates. Okay, so that's why while the world is calling him stupid, all that, I believe he's waiting for these dates. That's why he's playing along. And Netanyahu is trying to create as much chaos as possible. He just scuttled these talks, right? From the very start. He scuttled it by, you know, attacking Lebanon. He, you know, even the Israeli ministers, and he, you know, marking this tweet of Khwaja Asif. Pakistanis know about this, that he is calling for annihilation, even though he didn't mention the word annihilation. But he just marked his tweet, and somehow he was trying to basically scuttle the entire diplomatic talks, right? Because he wants to prolong war to preserve his seat, to preserve his power. Now Trump knows about it. That's what Trump said to Israeli courts or whatever, that be easy on him. If we can just, you know, assure him that nothing will happen to him, and we somehow save the world because of, you know, not pressurize. That is the line of Trump, by the way. This is the line of Trump, that if we are not so hard on Netanyahu, maybe we can tie it with saving the world as well, right? This is the line of Trump. I am still taking Donald Trump seriously while there are a lot of people, you know, considering him as a joke. I am still taking him seriously, and yeah, and that is my take on it. That is my entire analysis on it. With that, Assalamu alaikum.